Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video I want to show you the few simple rules I follow with every eyeshadow palette. It doesn't matter which palette it is. If I want to create a colorful yet wearable, glamorous eyeshadow look. Maybe if you've watched a lot of my eyeshadow tutorials, you might recognize the patterns, but I wanted to put it in a video. I've never put it in a video. What I do in order to create looks that are colorful and glamorous, yet they're very wearable and you feel confident and comfortable wearing them out without feeling self-conscious, because I am a pretty natural makeup type person, and sometimes if a look is way too colorful, which I've created plenty of those here on my channel, it might be something that I do for fun because it's artistic, but I might not want to wear that to any type of event. Yet there are colorful eyeshadow looks that I create that are very glamorous and that I feel very confident leaving my house in, because I think that they are beautiful and fun, yet they're also wearable. I hope that makes sense. Take everything I'm about to say in this video with a grain of salt. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. If you think my colorful look isn't colorful enough, that's okay. You're simply much more comfortable with color than I personally am. In order to create my colorful yet wearable glamorous eyeshadow look today, I'm going to use this eyeshadow palette right here from Cinch Beauty. It is called the Holdra, and I thought this palette was perfect for this video because it's a colorful eyeshadow palette. We have lots of greens and lots of mauvey purple shades, yet we still have some of the elements that I usually go for when I want to make a colorful look wearable, and that is it has some neutrals. So I was saying, you know, it doesn't matter which palette you use these techniques for, in the sense that you can use oranges and blues and yellows as well, and if you follow the steps I'm about to show you, you can still create colorful eyeshadow looks that are going to be fun yet wearable. So if you're excited for today's video, let's go ahead and get started. Also, if you want to shop this new Cinch Beauty palette, I have it linked down below in the description box. I think it looks quite beautiful. I'm very excited to play with it. Cinch always has very fun shiny shades that I love, and this palette is no exception. Check them out right here. And in this one we have shades like Shapeshifter right here, which is a pretty nice purpley type mauvey intense shade, or Forest Spirit right here, which is a very nice green. One that I think I'm going to use is this forest green color here. It's called Charcoal Kiln. It looks really, really beautiful. As far as what I've done to prep for this video, I do have something on my eyelids already, and it is this right here from e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is an e.l.f. Cosmetics single shadow in Beige and Bougie, and I'm basically using it as an eyeshadow base today. I put it on the center of my eyelid and blended it out, and it's pretty much blended till close to my brow, but not quite all the way up to my brow. Let's get started with the tutorial and the steps that I follow in order to create these looks. And like I said, it's a few simple rules. Is I always start with a natural crease. That's step number one. I feel like that is definitely one of the best things you can do in order to make a colorful look wearable. That is probably the number one best tip I can give you, and it seems very simple, but when you have a fully colorful crease, I feel like it's definitely never as wearable as when there is a neutral shade mixed in with the color. So step number one, always start with a natural crease. And then the second rule I'm going to give you is we don't want to mix more than two very different shades. In today's case, it's simple because we're going to mix the mauvey purples with the green colors, but I wouldn't mix mauve with green and also yellow, or mauve with green and also blue. Then that becomes a lot. That is too colorful and it becomes not wearable anymore. So we're going to mix two shades. Maybe you could do purple and yellow, or you can do blue and purple, or blue and pink. Looks very pretty, but only do two colorful shades and then a neutral. I have a reference number 15 with me, and I'm going to start with the shade Soul Snatcher right up here. This one seems like a nice transitioning type color. and I am going to blend it through the crease of my eye. And you might not even see the natural blend out shade at the end. It might not be super visible once we finish placing the colors on the eye, but it will help to diffuse them, and that is a very important step. So that is the shade Soul Snatcher blended on the crease of this eye. And I think I'm going to diffuse it even further with a bit of a lighter color. I'm going to grab the shade Entrance, which is a really nice color. If you need to lighten up any of the colorful shades, you can also mix that one in there. And so with that shade Entrance, we are going to blend the top of the crease a little bit more Soul Snatcher so that things look even. And I guess that would be rule number 3, is you want to make sure everything is very thoroughly blended. We don't want to see any harsh edges anywhere, because I feel like harsh edges can sometimes be looked over if you're wearing a very natural eyeshadow look. But if you're playing with color, the least you can do is make sure that your colors are very thoroughly blended. So make sure to get your big fluffy blending brush and go to town. The other tip I can give you to make sure things look very thoroughly blended is you need, and I'm going to say need because I think it's a need, you need natural hair brushes. I promise you, your synthetic hair brushes are good, but they're making you work harder and you're spending way more time than you need to blending an eyeshadow. I have never tried a synthetic eyeshadow brush that works as well as a natural hair brush blending eyeshadow. And don't get me wrong, I love synthetic brushes. I think synthetic brushes are fantastic when it comes to complexion or blending out cream products. Like foundation brushes can be synthetic, no problem. I love synthetic brushes to blend out my cream contour and blush. They work great for those things, but when it comes to powder eyeshadow, and specifically when it comes to eyeshadows that have a lot of pigmentation, like colorful eyeshadows, you need a natural hair brush. My favorite, and the ones that you always see me using, are the Refer brushes. They are natural hair, they usually have a nice deal going on, and they have all of the best shapes to do every single thing around the eye. One of my go-tos, always the number 15 brush to blend out my crease. I love it. I'm talking a lot, but I want you guys to understand the importance of these steps in order to create your colorful yet natural eyeshadow look. Making myself even over on this side with the color Soul Snatcher and the shade Entrance once again on the very top of the crease. Now that we have a very natural base down, it's time to start building with some colors. And the next tip I can give you is start with a lighter version of the color you want to get to, and then intensify. I find that when you start with the lighter color and then you intensify from there, you're never going to do too much and you're never going to have to be stressed about a color not blending. I've seen lots of people who do it the other way around. They'll go in with the very intense color and then just blend the edges. And that works, but I feel like that creates bolder eyeshadow looks. And since we're trying to make colorful look very wearable, I think starting with the softer color is an easier base to go off of. So I'm going to switch my brush to a smaller blending brush. This right here is the Refer number 1, and it is a pinched fluffy brush. So we're going to be able to intensify yet have more precision over where we're placing our colors. The first color I'm going to use in order to start building my green, it's going to be the shade Secret right here. And with my Refer number 1 brush, I'm going to build Secret into the crease of my eye, the outer crease of my eye, because we're doing purple in the inner half of the eye. So this way we're going to have a little bit of a green hue mixed in with the natural color, just like so. And I'm tapping the green on one of the sides of my number 1 brush, and I am placing that side up to blend it into the crease, just like this. You can do windshield wiper motions, but more effectively and faster, do little circles back and forth in the area you're trying to cover, because that'll blend things even faster. we have our green there, and I'm going straight into the very deep green that I really love with that same brush. Now, because this is the more intense color, I'm going to first tap it on the outer third of the eyelid. Tap, 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 so that I can deposit a really nice amount of color there. And then once I feel like my brush doesn't have as much pigment on the bristles, I'm going to turn it, and with it, blend the dark green color into the lighter green color I have on the crease. And just make sure that you don't take your very deep color super high, because you already have things on the crease that are going to anchor your look down and going to make it more natural. So just make sure you don't go crazy with the intense color, so that the eyeshadow look is still nice and wearable. The only thing you need to focus on very thoroughly blending is the crease area. If you see that there are harsh lines in the center of the eyelid, that's fine, because we're going to cover those with other shadows later on. So just make sure that your crease is blended just like so. There's no harsh lines back here, there's no line of demarcation between one color and the next on the crease area of my eye. Something else that might happen is you start blending your deep color, you start blending it into your crease, and your brush has too much product on it and it's getting higher and higher. Don't keep blending with that brush either. Clean the brush on a paper towel so that it loses the pigment left on it. Or if you want to make even more sure that the brush doesn't have a lot more color, grab a clean brush and blend with the clean brush instead, because you really want to make sure that you avoid that the color gets too high into the crease of the eye. You want to make sure that you can peek at it when your eyes are open, but if you make it too high, then it doesn't look as natural. I cleaned my blending brush on a paper towel, and I am continuing to blend back here. Now, for some reason, I lost some of the pigment on the outermost corner of the eye. That's okay, because we can always add more. Just make sure that your crease is blended, and once your crease is blended, then you can always add a bit more color. I have a little bit of green under the eye that I don't want there, so with a makeup wipe, I'm just going to clean it off. And this is a nice thing to do always. If you want, you can always clean underneath the eye and angle your eyeshadow up towards the tail end of your eyebrow, and that way you're making sure that the eyeshadow looks are even and that your face looks lifted. Our matte greens are blended, and I'm going to add the next color now, which is going to be our mauvey shades. I am going to start with the shade Bad Luck right here. And where are we going to add the mauvey shades? On the inner half of the crease of the eye, leaving space to put some shadows on the eyelid area. So I'm grabbing a different blending brush. This one is also from Refer, and it is a Refer Shoto 00, which is very similar to a Refer number 1, except it is a little bit more tapered. And so with that mauvey shade, I am building up the inner half of the crease, and we want to make sure with very light touch that it blends into our green color. Check it out, you can tell where the green ends and the mauvey starts. It just kind of transitions nicely in the center right there, and that is exactly what we want to see. And then the mauve in turn transitions nicely into the neutral shades we had put all the way at the beginning on the crease area. Time to play with some shimmers, and the key for the shimmers, I think, is to find shimmers that will transition nicely into one another, even if they are two different colors. So in this case, I am going to go for the duochrome shimmers, because obviously since they have more than one specific color on them, they're going to shift nicely into one another. So I'm going to go with Temptress and the shade Holdra here, which Holdra has gold and green in it, and then Temptress is a much more mauvey pink type of shade, but these are going to blend nicely into one another. And how would you know what shades to go for and whether or not they'll blend nicely into one another? You can always swatch test if they will. Check out my swatch test right here. I think they'll transition nicely into one another, so that is what we are going to go for. This is why I was telling you that harsh edges on the eyelid don't matter, because the moment you add a shimmer over that harsh edge, you cannot see it anymore, right? So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here, and I'm adding Holdra over the green matte eyeshadow. just like so. And I'm taking it around halfway in, and then with the shade Temptress, I'm going to do the other half of the eyelid with my finger first, and then I'll get a brush because I like to be precise with my shimmers. So I like to do the finger to really build that shimmer up so that it is very shiny. But then I also really like precision, so we're going to make things very even with a small brush. Now to make this look extra shifty and extra colorful, we are going back with the green on the inner corner, except it's obviously not going to be this deep green. Back here is going to be a very light green shimmer. So I'm going to go with the shade Wish and make that my innermost corner color, and I'm using a Refer number 28 brush, which is another one of my favorites. So I'm going to add the shade Wish to the innermost corner of the eye right here. Work it in ever so slightly. A little bit more Wish. It's also always pretty safe to just use a champagne tone type shade on the inner corner and call it a day if you're tired of thinking what color should I add next to the eyeshadow look, right? So here's the shade Wish over here, and then I'm going to go back with the shade Temptress and make sure that they blend nicely into one another. And also with Temptress, I'm going to make sure that the eyelid space looks defined and even by evening it out with the tip of my flat brush. See how this looks uneven? Watch. I'm going to grab a teeny tiny bit more Temptress and then just create a nice edge right there. What do you guys think so far? Obviously we are missing the under eye area, but so far I am loving it. We have two nice different colors on the eyelid, yet I feel like this looks glamorous and wearable. When it comes to the under eyes, the only rule that truly matters is make sure that you match your crease in the sense of like the first neutral color you applied on the crease up here, it has to go under the eye as well, because that is the shade that is going to help you transition into the color of your skin, right? But then after that, I really don't have a set way of going about it. Sometimes I'll do the green all the way under and call it a day, and don't do any of the pink and mauve shades underneath, and that's that. Or sometimes I match exactly what I did on top underneath. So today we're going to do the second, just to make things a little more fun for this video. So I'm going to go back with the shade Soul Snatcher, and I'm using a Refer 14 mini to add that color to my under eyes. That is my neutral shade, and it is going to go all around the under eye area, and I'm even taking it all the way back here, obviously doing the same thing on the other eye. And I'm not being too careful with it, I'm not being too precise with this one because this is just our transition color. Switching to a pencil brush, this is a Refer number 23. The Refer 03 will work really nicely as well, and I am going to use the shade Charcoal Kiln, which is our intense green, and smudge it underneath the outer third of my lower lash line, making it meet with the top color right here at the end, just back and forth. Then going back with my blending brush, my number 14 mini, I'm going to grab our transitioning green, if you will, Secret, and I'm going to hit the edge of the intense green with it very lightly. I'm literally barely touching my face with the brush. I just want to soften up that green just a little bit. With the Refer number 3, which is the pencil brush I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go to the shade Bad Luck and blend that one on the inner third of my under eye, matching the top once again. And if you really feel like you need to, which today I do, hit the edge of your colorful shades underneath the eye with a teeny tiny bit more of the transition color, which is once again the Soul Snatcher shade. And this is fully transitioned. I'm happy with this versus how it looked just a second ago, where you can see the divide between the neutral and the colors. So I'm just going to hit the edge of those colors with a bit of neutral matte. By the way, I'm being very nitpicky and very specific about everything in today's video, just because I wanted to give you a really nice guide on how to make colorful looks wearable. And now to truly finish up this look, we need a color in the waterline. The two Marc Jacobs eyeliners I purchased recently match this eye look to perfection, both of them. So it's going to be a matter of what color do you want to show up more, or which color do you want to bring more attention to at this stage. We could do a purple in the waterline and bring out the pink purpley shades a bit more, or we can do a green waterline. I wish I could have you guys vote right now which one you wanted. I almost want to do one on each eye, but I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to go with the purpley shade. because I feel like there's a lot of green. The green is very visible, but if we want to bring out the purple a bit more, then this is the way to go. And so just add that color to your waterline. And check it out right here. This is our colorful yet wearable eyeshadow look before mascara or lashes, both of which we are of course going to do in order to finish this up. I'm back and I finished up my makeup. Everything else obviously very natural, since the colorful yet wearable eyeshadow look has to be the center of attention. Everything on my face is listed and linked down below in the description box, and I also put on some mascara and lashes. The lashes I put on are also from Cinch Beauty. I wanted to try these. They sent me the palette and the lashes. I believe the name of them might be Whimsigoth. And they are half lashes, so they're not reaching all the way in. I really like them. I was going to just go for some Ardell wispies, but I decided to try something new, and I like that these have a very thin lash band, which is what I like about the Ardell wispies. Anyways, here is the finished look. Remember, you can apply my tips and tricks to any other colors of eyeshadow as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and whether or not this video was helpful, which I truly hope it was. Now, the main thing I would love to know is whether or not you would wear this glamorous, wearable yet colorful eyeshadow look. I honestly think it came out quite fabulous, and I would absolutely wear this out to any special occasion. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do not leave without subscribing. If you guys like today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up before you leave. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye.